From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Hundreds of people joined a police violence protest in Bozeman yesterday. What some of those protesters are saying, that story is coming up.
And did you participate in the census count last year? Coming up, our Joe St. George reports it could make a difference in how much federal money Montana will get in the coming years and whether we get a second member of Congress.
Well, good snowy Monday, April morning to you all. I know a lot of people are just say they're over it, but we can't get over it yet. It's still time to take it slow, right, Matt?
Take it slow for sure. Temperatures are down below the freezing mark. Some of that snow has melted and turned to ice on the area roadways. We're starting to get more and more reports of slide-off crashes on our area roadways this morning. So take it slow is right. Temperatures into the 20s right now. You can see that snow continues to press. Remember, we don't get a lot of low-level coverage. You can kind of fill in the gaps with what's going on. It is slick on Bozeman Pass, Homestake Pass, and down the Gallatin Canyon this morning. Snow and ice covering the roadways, visibility low. Now, this isn't going to last real long. I expect by noon, most of the area of the snow will be done, but it's still going to remain cold, so there still may be some slick spots as you head into the early afternoon. We're going to talk more about a bit of a warm-up on the way, another chance of snow this week. It's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. The Montana Highway Patrol reports 2 people are dead after their car left a roadway near Amsterdam Saturday night.
Troopers say the deadly crash happened around 6 p.m. Saturday evening near the intersection of Arnold and Shutter in Gallatin County. According to the Montana Highway Patrol, driver of the vehicle going westbound when failed to negotiate a left-hand curve at the top of a hill, overcorrected on the gravel road. The vehicle then rolled several times, ejecting the 51-year-old man and a 36-year-old woman, both of them from Bozeman. Troopers say alcohol is suspected to be a factor in that crash.
Last night, hundreds of people gathered in Bozeman to demonstrate and protest against police violence.
MTN's Gabby Crevitt was there and has an update.
Hundreds gathered at Bogart Park in Bozeman to protest police violence after 20-year-old Dante Wright was shot and killed during a traffic stop by an ex-police officer in Minnesota just a week earlier.
There is an issue of racism everywhere, unfortunately, that just because you don't see it because you're not a person of color doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in this community.
Bozeman United for Racial Justice and the Montana State University Black Student Union hosted a vigil and protest. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered at Bogart Park, vowing Wright's death would not be met with silence.
A 20-year-old black man was murdered while on the phone with his mom at a traffic stop just outside Minneapolis last Sunday.
What brings me here today, personally, is exhaustion and anger and grief and all these feelings combined together.
The intention to me personally is basically just to grieve a life lost that was lost senselessly for no reason.
Organizers made calls for the city of Bozeman to reallocate funds from the police department budget to things like affordable housing and other services. MTN News reached out to the Bozeman Police Department for a response to the local demonstration and calls to defund the police.
There's lots of different perspectives on these issues. We're here to support and defend people and peaceably assembling and having their say.
After a series of speakers, demonstrators marched towards Main Street for a peaceful protest.
This is a really important cause, and it's a systemic problem in the United States. I have a lot of friends that I care about, but also maintaining peace and having respect for others is really important.
Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
And as Gabby said, the rally marched through downtown Bozeman after leaving Bogart Park.
Well, after months of delays, the Census Bureau is expected to reveal in the coming days their first round of data from last year's census.
Now, a lot is at stake, including how much representation our state has in Congress, as well as how much money we receive from the federal government.
Joe St. George looks at whether our state will gain seats, lose seats, or stay the same.
Remember that census you filled out last year? It mattered, and in the coming days, some of the initial findings will be made public. Every 10 years, we find out where Americans are living. How big a state's population is dictates how many members of Congress it gets. It also determines how much money the state receives each year from Washington. That impacts everything from fixing roads to police funding. Right now, the expectation is that the census will reveal Texas and Florida experience the biggest population increases since 2010, and they could receive 2 to 3 new members of Congress. Montana, Arizona, Colorado, and North Carolina are also expected to see gains and could get 1 new seat if the census data confirms what experts predict.
Of course, if one state gains representation in Congress and in turn more federal dollars, representation must be taken away from another state. Congress has 535 voting members, and that never changes.
California, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York could all lose representation because their populations are thought to have declined. In many states, the new census data will also force fierce debates over redistricting, which is the process of drawing up what voters are in what district. The changes impact elections for the next decade when majority Republican or majority Democratic districts are purposefully drawn. I'm Joe St. George reporting.
6:36 now. 150 Montanans from around the state are gathering in Helena for the 67th legislative session.
What's noteworthy is that some of those lawmakers are closely related. MTN's Geneva Zoltek spoke with 2 different families with members serving this year.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here, and I'm really happy that they can experience that same honor and privilege.
State Senator Keith Regier is referring to his son and daughter who serve alongside him in the state lawmaking body. He is serving in his 7th legislative term. Across the hall in the House, his son Matt serves his 3rd term and his daughter Amy serves her 1st.
I'm a construction worker, my sister's a nurse, and my dad's a retired teacher. It's really the citizens of Montana that get to run, and there's only 150 of us every 2 years that get to make decisions that lead our great state.
Montana has what's known as a citizen legislature. Members are ordinary people that work part-time as public servants for 90 days every odd year. Because of the nature of this governing body, it's not uncommon for people in the same family to be serving at once.
We're pretty ideologically the same, but yes, we are 3 individuals, and the beauty of that is there's a red and green button with each of us, so we can each make our own decisions.
On the House side, an additional sibling pair is serving this legislative session.
I kind of think that politics in our family is literally in our blood. It's in our DNA.
I got into it got interested back in the day because of my grandfather.
The Hinkles, representing 2 Belgrade districts, have multiple family ties that bring them into the political arena. Their father is a Granite County commissioner.
So you can imagine what our Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter conversations are like. Let's just say that we don't exclude politics and religion.
Serving alongside family does come with drawbacks.
Well, we get mixed up all the time.
Reporting from Missoula, Geneva Zoltek, MTN News.
Fascinating.
That's very cool, yeah. and a good experience for them.
Yeah.
Well, meantime, a new survey shows that religion plays a role in how likely you are to get the COVID vaccine shot. What researchers found out, that's coming up after the break.
But first, here's Anthony Mason with a look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, we'll preview today's closing arguments in the Derek Chauvin trial. Plus, Dr. Anthony Fauci joins us to discuss expanding vaccine eligibility to all Americans and when the Johnson & Johnson vaccine could return. Also, we're kicking off our Earth Week coverage by taking you to the English Channel to see the ocean's role in climate change. And country duo Brothers Osborne talk about sticking together through personal challenges. All coming up when we see you at 7.